Welcome to Beerfield. I am your host, Chris Hopper, at Beerfield Hop with 2 P's, joined by at Ryan Miner, _FFB, at Beerfield 30. Gentlemen, how are you on this glorious last evening before we all get blown up with cold weather in Missouri?
You know,
I am
just
ecstatic right now. I am ecstatic with Michigan winning the national championship. So it's been a constant go party.
That's right. Their first ever, right?
No, first since '97. So '97 was their national
97.
title.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You did have a national title thing happen, huh?
So I was very it's been a lot of fun.
Ryan's still hungover, is what I hear.
I don't get hangovers, it's surprisingly enough. Not to brag or anything, but
That's what everyone says.
Famous last words until it happens.
But it doesn't happen.
Or it does. All right.
I said what I said.
Most of the news cycle this week is going to be around head coaching changes and rumors. So that's what we're going to talk about. Coaching, not just head coaching changes, I guess. Coaching changes and rumors. Before we do that, we are drinking Stuff and Things. Episode 468, by the way.
Oof. Look at us
What's
go.
fueling Beerfield?
What'd you say to him?
I said, look at us go.
Look at us go. All right. Ryan, why don't you start us off?
Dude, I am ecstatic to bring this beer on because they just finally brought it back into stores. I bought the whole shelf. That's how excited I was when I saw it.
It's the Bell's Hop Slam?
Did you buy
No.
Did you buy the beer on the shelf too, or just the shelf?
Yes, the shelf.
Bought the whole shelf.
I took the shelf and left the beer. I am drinking New Holland Brewery's Mad Hatter. It is a Midwest IPA. It used to be, it was sold in store like 3 or 4 years ago, and they pulled it, and it was brewery only, and now it just came back out.
Think about that one.
I used to sell it at Benny's when I was still there. Yep.
All right.
Not too shabby.
All right. I am drinking Pipeworks out of Chicago, Illinois. This is a brewed in collaboration with Manny's Cafeteria and Delicatessen. This is their pastrami on rye. So this is described as a rye ale with smoked malt, brown sugar, black pepper, coriander seed, red pepper, and mustard seed.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
I probably wouldn't buy a 4-pack of this normally, but I just used mustard seed in a beer to okay or not great results. So I was real curious how it showed up in this one as well. So yeah, I'll give you a little spoiler. I didn't finish the first can of this I opened, so not because it was bad, just because it's a lot. Dan, what you got?
I am drinking Riggs Schwartz beer.
Oh,
because their black lagers are amazing, and
they're everything's amazing.
nothing. Yeah, and most things that I don't think I've had something bad from Riggs. So Riggs out of Urbana, Illinois, outside of Champaign, where the main university lies. Yeah, more on this later.
All right.
Black Monday.
Our last Black Monday. All right, let's go ahead and
so somber.
That's right. It didn't even make it. All didn't even make it to Monday. Like the rumors started Sunday night.
They did start Sunday night, and they've been kind of spread out. So we'll remind you of people that were let go earlier in the season, as well as people that were just let go to cover all of the coaching vacancies. Let's start in Atlanta. We've been calling for it all year. Head coach Arthur Smith has been fired. Their season ended in a blowout loss to the Saints. Over 3 years, Smith had a 21-30 record. I didn't realize he'd been there 3 years already. They were under 500 in every campaign after investing heavily in the skill side of the ball.
Damn. Sucks to suck.
Makes me wonder what's going to happen with Kyle Pitts.
Oh, yeah. This is actually a pretty enticing job to take over too. You
Yeah.
have a lot of good offensive pieces to play with,
Don't have a
an
quarterback.
improved defense. They have a high enough pick to maybe make a trade. I can see them in the market for a veteran QB.
Yeah.
See them in the market for maybe trading for Justin Fields if the Bears decide to go that route.
Yep.
Or one of these kind of older vets that will hit will hit the market
So
too.
Joe Flacco is starting for Atlanta next year.
Oh my God, that'd be incredible. And people are gonna be like, "Oh God, Flacco, Atlanta's gonna win the division," and then they're gonna go 6-11
7
again.
and 10. Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna go. Yeah, nothing will change because Joe Flacco.
Yep. His last move as the Falcons head coach, by the way, was screaming at Dennis Allen for something Jameis Winston did. So
For scoring
So awesome.
a late touchdown. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, my response to that is, maybe fucking stop him.
Don't throw the pick and get him to the one. Now, they lined up in victory formation, right? I get it. They're like, threw the pick, went to the one, under a minute and a half left. They're in victory formation. Looked like they were going to kneel it out. They handed it to Williams out of victory formation.
and that was his first touchdown of the season. 16 less than the year before.
Which is why they wanted to do it. But, yeah, touchdowns are fluky.
I love it.
That's your reminder.
Yep.
As
right.
for Arthur Smith, I just hope he disappears. I don't want to see him get an OC job anywhere. I want him to go.
Maybe we'll go to college. You can go.
That might be better.
Fuck off there for a while. Yeah.
That might be better.
College.
He won't get another head coaching shot. He'll probably end up as like an offensive assistant or a run game coordinator. He needs to go be a run game coordinator. One of those teams that does pass games. Go be a run game coordinator. He does do something well. It just doesn't go well for the entire offense. Go do the thing you do well.
And it's outdated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not very dated anymore. So
yeah. Go do the thing you do well.
Sorry.
Offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey was fired by the Bills back on November 14th. That's morally just a reminder. The Panthers fired Reich November 27th. They more importantly fired their GM Scott Fitterer on January 8th after a 2-15 season. Assistant head coach Deuce Staley and quarterback coach Josh McCown all also gone. Reich will, I'd assume, be in demand as a coordinator in the offseason.
Yeah. Right off the success you saw with the Eagles and in part-time with the Colts.
I haven't agreed with a lot that Tepper's done, but getting rid of the GM will also seem to be the right call. They've done not, like the McCaffrey trade ended up not being good for them. Some of the draft picks haven't panned out. Defense is pretty decent, but they haven't built up the offense the way it needed to be. Too many misses, not enough movement.
Yep.
All right. Another thing to celebrate. The Bears made a giant run of changes. Do not forget Alan Williams, their defensive coordinator, was fired earlier in the season. They've also fired offensive coordinator Luke Getsy, quarterbacks coach Andrew Janocko, receivers coach Tyke Tolbert. I want to pronounce everything with like Colbert. I think it's Tyke Tolbert. Running backs coach Omar Young and assistant tight ends coach. The assistant tight ends coach got the act.
They got fucking rid of everyone.
Why
assistant
how
tight
are
ends
you
coach
firing the assistant tight ends coach when that was one of the strengths of your team? Anyway,
because that's their fault for not telling the head coach about that. The assistant didn't do his. He probably was bringing hot coffees when they're supposed to be hot, and then cold food was hot.
I asked for a latte. This is black.
Actually, they fired every positional coach on the offensive side of the ball but the O-line coach and the head tight ends coach, apparently. So, okay. Getsy getting fired needed to happen. Not nearly dynamic enough with the quarterback he had at his disposal. Say what you will about the personnel that was there, but just not anywhere near creative enough with Fields. That was his downfall. Like, not enough downfield movement. His tail is out all this time with the Bears. We're going to throw screens and run it up the middle. So, they got a couple interviews lined up. We'll talk about them in a minute. Anything else on the Bears changes?
No. We're waiting for, though I'm a little surprised that Flutes didn't get the can too, and they would have just cleared house
I am too.
But I mean, I understand the improved finish at the end of the season, but this is another the head coach stays a season probably too long.
Hmm. Is this a
Especially if
sign?
they go a new quarterback route.
Yeah, this is a sign to me that they're going to keep Fields. Is what this is. This is a sign to me that they're going to keep Fields, probably not pick up the 5th-year option. And
they'll pick up the 5th year for sure.
For trade reasons. Yeah. They'll pick up the 5th-year options. They're going to keep Fields, and if it doesn't pan out again, then this is a situation where I think they're firing everybody and making a trade. Now, here's the problem with this situation, right? We know Flus is on the hot seat. If you're the OC taking this job, this is why I don't like that they didn't fire him. Because if you're competing for a top OC to go play for a head coach that's on the hot seat, like, that's dicey to me. There's not job security there. So unless that OC has prospects of hopefully taking over as head coach in the event the head coach is fired or auditioning for it and can be sold on that, this is bad news Bears. This is why they should have fired them both. But
are you sure? That's really bad news Bears, and they should have fired them both because with the picks they have, they can move around. They got multiple ways they could build this team right now. They could try to trade Fields and get more, or trade the first overall pick and get more there.
There's a lot they can build with, but is the coach going to be able to put a product on the field that can execute with that?
Yeah, why wouldn't they be able to?
Why couldn't Getsy? Why couldn't, after his previous success, Eberflus did okay with the defense. I will give him that. Down the stretch, the defense played very, very well, which is his calling card. I'll give him that bit. But Getsy couldn't do it. There's been no offensive coordinator in Bears' recent history that could put a team on the field that performed at the level that it should perform.
God, that was back in the Matt Forte and Jay Cuddy era.
Even then,
late 2000s,
and even
Mark
then,
Trestman. Even Mark Trestman had 1 year, I think,
had one good year,
relative success.
And then it was bad again. He had 1 year where Jeffrey and Marshall both went over 1,000, and Forte was a beast, and it completely regressed. And that's kind of the story for the Bears. So, like, I get they got a lot of draft capital, and I tend to trust Ryan Pace, but they have not, in my lifetime, put out a competent offense.
No, at least not consistently. But I don't have much. I don't have a whole bunch of like. I like Pace more than what they've had prior in polls, but I just the decision not to not get rid of Flus.
I like polls more than what they had in Pace.
I'm sorry, polls and Pace. Sorry,
yeah,
backwards. I didn't agree with with them keeping Flus. We're going to see how the Justin Fields, like, that's the number one offseason storyline. It's what the Bears are going to do with the 101, which in turn means what they're going to do with Justin Fields. And it's going to turn into a team that's like, it's a team that's going to be starving for some relative success. So they're going to potentially undermine the future and just try to get a playoff game in, right? They're going to battle to be a wild card team in a somewhat winnable NFC, right? Obviously, Green Bay is better than expected. Detroit played right where they wanted them to. Minnesota was ravaged with injuries, but the Bears have a good team. They just need someone there, to get them over that step. And I don't think Flus is that guy. I like, maybe I'm wrong, but I've been wrong plenty of times. It's just, it doesn't feel like that's going to be the case. And you can blame Getsy for all of it, but
no, you can't.
But you can't, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if moving on from Fields is the right move or not, because there's no true right answer.
No, nobody knows what the right answer is, and that's the problem. That's why there's a lot of hope and a lot of excitement around that Packers game, because if Fields could go out there and do something with that, then you felt a lot better about it heading into the offseason, and he didn't.
Yeah.
And you can blame the O-line, which is, from watching that game, is perfectly reasonable, and say it's not his fault, but same story we've been talking about for 2 years. So
I'm gonna hope they don't they do trade the pick at this point, because I don't want to see a quarterback go there and just have another coaching carousel, which
Yeah, I don't want to see a quarterback.
players will make it very much the same, is that it's very difficult to learn one offense. Imagine having to learn a new offense
every couple of years,
every fucking year. And
yeah,
it's amazing when guys that, like Baker, who's able to find success through that change constantly and doing the same thing that Justin Fields now. And he's not learning a new offense anyway. So it's the same fucking story over and over again.
Yeah. And that's why I don't like that they didn't kind of line things up a little bit better, I guess. So I think that Fields stays because you don't want to bring a quarterback in this year to what I would consider to be a lame duck head coach and then change it all over again next offseason without young quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, last year, Fields was what? He only won 3 games, or Eberflus in general only won 3 games. This year, won 7. So definitely on the correct trajectory on that. And that defense, like you said, is already starting to take the right step forward. It's just the offense, like, okay, the connection with Fields and DJ Moore is definitely happening.
Yeah,
they have the 101. They could definitely trade down that pick. Could New England look to jump up? Could the Giants look to move up? Could Atlanta even be somewhere crazy to look to move up to try to get that number 1 pick?
Yeah,
I think
depends.
I think Atlanta's going to be the team that's going to move for a veteran quarterback, but there's a lot of coaching changes up top. Yeah,
see, I think Atlanta will jump up.
So that's what I think too. Like, that's like one team on my end is like basically they are truly a quarterback away from being a competent team.
And there's
which is why I think they're going to,
which is why
I think they're going to go the free agent veteran route.
See, and I think they go the young QB route because all their skill players are young too. I think that they are missing a QB from that core. I don't think that they, obviously there's some assumptions there that they're extending people, keeping people, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, they can also just keep going. Yeah, like
let them grow
from
up
where
together.
they're picking. They could keep. They don't even have to move up. I'm sure there's an opportunity for them to. They can take. If a guy like Penix falls, or if they want to reach on a McCarthy.
Oh no, you don't want to go that high on those
or
two.
God forbid a Bo Nix or something. Like there's avenues for them to go if they wanted to.
I think if they draft a quarterback, they're going to try to hit the home run. They're not going to reiterate again.
Yeah, and I can maybe they have the capital to move that, but for me, a veteran QB, I think they could be the team that makes an offer for Cousins. Probably not enough.
Here we go. We're starting up. Cousins is moving this offseason. Casting again.
I'm not witch casting it. I'm just saying, just because I think a team's going to try to get him away doesn't mean I'm saying that I'm witch casting it.
Hold on. Where are my sticky notes?
One
running tally.
A running tally?
Yep, I'm going to put it right there on my monitor. Running tally every time you suggest that Kirk Cousins gets traded this offseason. Because it was every week last season.
He can't get traded. He's a free agent.
Okay. Doesn't get re-signed, whatever.
The Athletic came out with a article saying that
back to Minnesota,
entertaining the Falcons trading up to the number 1 pick.
That's where I'm at.
And yeah, like that's like I just see that team, and that's just what I see. It's just like,
are they picking at 10?
They're picking at 8.
They're at 8.
Yeah, they're just 1 pick ahead of Chicago because Chicago's got 1 and 9 now.
I've seen a lot of 8 ones. Yeah, I've started to see those pop up. I'm sticking with my guts.
What the article says, if there's anything like what they're looking to trade up for, like what it's entailing.
I'm also seeing rumors that they might not even get the same amount for this pick, which is astonishing to me, just given how much this class has been talked up for the last 3 years. But again, the Twitter dynasty hive mind is a lot different than what the overall, scout departments of these teams are saying, which is nuts to me because there's a lot of people that are so high on May and Williams, and now with Daniels being involved in this too. Then yeah, we'll see. at least one or two teams are going to be making moves.
All right. Sorry, I was looking at the playoff thing that we were doing the last
Yeah.
couple of weeks.
Playoffs.
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 We'll get to those in a minute. All right. We don't need to talk about Vegas because they did this on Halloween, but they are going to be hunting a new general manager and head coach. Antonio Pierce had a good stint as a interim. Doesn't look like they're going to bring him back though.
Really?
Yeah.
Why not?
That's surprising to me.
I can't
I
answer
thought
that.
for sure.
It's a tale as old as time. We've seen like it happened with Caldwell too, right? And a few others. Like we see coaches take over interim that do a damn good job, and they don't know. It's not a sure thing. They still might. Latest odds I'm seeing have Pierce staying over them doing something like a Harbaugh or trying to make a splashy signing, but we'll see. I think they should keep him. I think that he got the team to play for him, play well. We've seen former defensive players like this. Look at what D'Amico Ryans just did with Houston, right? We've seen them excel. We've seen former linebackers excel. All right. Anything else?
Let's see what's. I thought I heard somewhat like Antonio Pierce going to somewhere else. Like someone else wanted to.
The Giants, I think.
Giants
was
wanted to
a
interview him
rumor at one point, but they didn't fire
Tennessee
Dable.
Titans.
And the Titans, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one I saw.
There'll
the
be
Titans.
a rumor roundup here in a minute too.
Okay.
Let's see. Chargers, we knew about this one already. They fired Brandon Staley and Tom Telesco. That's another one that's going to be an attractive. Well, maybe not as attractive as people think. You got Herbert. You have some aging skill players. You have no cap and not a lot of draft.
They got a high pick.
Man,
That's about
you have a high pick.
Herbert and a high pick, which will probably be receiver to replace the depleting wide receiver room that barely got any. They got pretty much no help last year.
Except they should actually draft except they tried to do that last year and that didn't go well for them.
They went fucking poorly for him. You literally picked the wrong of the four receivers.
You had a 75% chance to get it decent to right, and you got the wrong one.
And you bombed the fuck out of it.
We did say that he had the highest bust potential, right? And now you won't call anybody a bust after 1 year, but that's kind of where we were with it.
His track record does not look good.
No, doesn't look great.
We'll just say that.
Not good. The New York Giants fired their special teams coordinator and their offensive line coach. We won't spend time on that. Steelers fired Matt Canada a while ago, actually looked decent over the back part of the season on offense. So imagine that. Like Ben was right the whole time.
So true.
A little bit of a surprise, I guess, in the fact that we knew it could happen, but weren't sure it was going to happen. The Titans fired Mike Vrabel on January 9th after 6 seasons, 54-45, most of those overperforming and getting a lot out of his guys. 3 trips to the playoffs, 1 AFC Championship game appearance. Very, very successful tenure there for Vrabel, but they decided to move on. He'll be in
how many one and dones did he have as of first place?
Yeah. He'll be in demand as a head coach, though, I think.
You think?
He was rumored to go to the Patriots.
Rumor obviously is going to be the Patriots because that's where he played the majority of his career, if not all of it. But I can see him maybe going back down to DC. I can see maybe a job there. It's been a struggle the last 3 years. Like for him, it's a what have you done for me lately? It's been 3 straight losing seasons.
I think that can be justified a lot on personnel and GM decisions.
It absolutely can, but I'm just saying, head coaches also get
they do.
A lot of their shit's written on their win-loss record, and especially with how uncompetitive sometimes AFC South can be, and just how winnable it's looked the last handful of years. That I can see why. Like I'm not shocked by this move.
And look how far we're off on the AFC South.
A lot.
I picked Houston.
No,
not
on day one, but I picked Houston last week. I think we all did.
No, But we
all
know
we were all
Houston's
on
going to make it
We were
in.
all
Everyone
Houston.
picked Jacksonville.
Everyone picked
I thought Jacksonville was going to be in line for the number 1 seed with how
everyone,
easy that
yeah.
schedule looked.
Everyone wants to talk about the Eagles collapse. Jacksonville's was just as bad.
Yeah, and the
My
Eagles could be,
opinion.
what happens if the Eagles are one and done?
What happened? Yeah.
That could happen this weekend.
I got
Jacksonville, yeah.
that's my prediction.
Yep. I think that they are. They have no momentum on their side. That's a bad situation to be in.
I never saw a defense I thought that looks
What
Hey.
defense?
clean.
Uh,
Like it went from
I hate to say it, Miami's in that same type of tailspin right now too.
Yeah, and it's going to be 0 degrees in Kansas City kickoff.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be
at least they
terrible.
have a team that's also showing pretty mightily too.
Which
Casey
one?
hasn't looked right.
They're both struggling.
Yeah, true. Casey has looked to been struggling all year.
Yeah.
Like it's very apparent that they're that Mahomes can't carry a lackluster offense, which you can't ask any player to do single-handedly.
It's not on him. Like he gets it to them and where they need to be. If they're dropping everything, that's on them. You can't catch the ball.
I mean,
too.
you're basically, it's like a it's slightly worse than Buffalo because, both him and Allen, both Mahomes and Allen are both playing the way of I have to do it all because I can't get help from my support. And at least the Bills have a running game, have James Cook to rely on, and they finally got Diggs involved when all fantasy football is fucking over. He finally has a good game.
Yeah. He's
Bitter.
Allen's got more in the receiving game to rely on too than what
He does.
Mahomes
He
has
does.
by a good amount. So
And also Buffalo struggled on offense too, especially the passing game. Josh Allen is looking more and more like a more mobile version of like Brett Favre, where you have to live and die by the turnovers.
That's why Ken Dorsey got fired.
Yep. And their offense actually got worse in terms of efficiency. Like the offense was actually, it did. Like if you go to the metrics, it said that the offense got slightly worse in terms of efficiency. But
by the way, more mobile Brett Favre was actually Allen's ceiling coming out of the draft, so that's okay.
Yeah, and he's pretty much lived up to. I mean, he's been better than that, but he's fallen. He's reverting from his back to his turnover self because you live and die by the Josh Allen.
Yep.
He sometimes forgets what team he plays for when he throws the ball.
All right.
Fucking 3 interceptions in the first quarter. I'm like,
dude,
the fuck is this game? It's the way you want to win.
Yeah,
he threw it right to him.
But they won.
They won because Miami is just worse.
Yep.
Miami can't beat teams over 500.
Miami can't beat teams without Perry Kill.
They're the AFC version of Dallas.
Or Mostert, Or did Waddle play, or is Waddle out too?
Waddle was out too.
Yeah, I mean, they at least have an excuse.
Yeah, but they still had Tyreek, and you have a more explosive running back in Achane.
Yeah.
But who's been also hurt for the majority of the season.
And Tyreek isn't healthy either. He was in a walking boot at his own house fire before that
That's
game,
right. He had a house fire.
And he had a walking boot on while he was at the house fire, so you can't tell me he's healthy.
No, I got no.
Painkillers and everything else.
Yep.
Painkillers and cocaine.
Washington Commanders fired Jack Del Rio,
Ron Rivera.
Brent Visselmeyer, and Ron Rivera. So DC's gone, Rivera's gone. Rivera, if he wants to be, will be in demand as a coordinator.
Oh, absolutely.
If he wants to go be a DC again.
He should be. I would be about him.
Defenses have always been fantastic.
Maybe he'll go. Maybe him and Variable will go pair up.
Can we get him back to the
You can
Bears?
get some old school defensive minded coaches.
Can we get him back to the Bears, please?
Go, yeah.
For their DC
Both
opener?
go to the Bears.
Back to the Bears. He was the defensive coordinator of the last Super Bowl run.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
Maybe
the
Eric
cycle.
Bieniemy will actually get his promotion to finally become a head coach.
Hired straight from the Bears DC to the Panthers coach, or was there a stop in the middle there?
Ron Rivera?
I think you're right because John Fox took over afterwards, right?
Was it the Panthers?
It was
Because Rivera took John Fox's role, right?
No, other way around. He took over after
Other way
Fox
around.
got let go. Yeah. Rivera took over after Fox got let go. So yes, Rivera took John Fox's
Yes, that was right. Yeah.
role.
Yep.
Here we go. He started with Carolina in 2011. There it is. There's the whole thing. He was a Chargers defensive coordinator for 3 years in between his stops in Chicago. He was Chicago's defensive coordinator 04 through 06. And then San Diego's from 08 to 10. Took over Carolina in 11 and has been a head coach ever since. So, yeah, there you go. But, yeah, Commanders are going to end up maybe one of those teams that hires a head coach that's just the scapegoat for the rebuild is where I see them at.
Got picked 2. I mean, maybe they'll try, to make them. I mean, that roster's also they're going to be one of the worst teams next year too.
Yeah,
going to be a bad roster.
All right, parting ways, whatever that means. The Patriots and Bill Belichick mutually agreed to part ways on January 11th, per Ian Rappaport and Tom Pellisario. Belichick had 24 seasons in New England, 6 Super Bowl championships, appeared in 3 others. Look, there's no denying the legacy he leaves there. There's also no denying it was time to move on. And I hope he retires because there's been rumors that he's willing to go as a head coach without the GM duties, which might be for the best, but he's not going to take a coordinator role. I hope he retires.
He's going to Atlanta.
Do you think so as head coach?
Dude, their owner, I can't remember his name.
Arthur Blank?
Yeah, I'm hearing he's desperate. I mean, fucking desperate to try to make a run at the playoffs and further.
Well, that's not the right way to do it.
Trust me, I know. I think he misses the yesteryears of the Matt Ryan era, and I think he gets desperate and tries to overpay for a coach.
Somebody's going to overpay for Belichick. And be disappointed because after 24 seasons, the game evolves. What's very, very clear is he did not involve in his personnel decisions or otherwise with the game.
Yeah,
there was a lot of things that were super questionable and fell flat about that. I don't know that you can trust him with a young team. I don't.
I'm not saying I like it
wherever he's
at all.
up.
That's my prediction.
Yep.
I got many predictions for Atlanta.
Yeah. Now, what will be hot if he wants to coach Wink Martindale. Giants announced on the 10th that they parted ways with Martindale. 2 days following reports that Martindale had resigned from the position as Giants defensive coordinator after 2 seasons. Giants defense played decent down the stretch. Wink has had a lot of success in a lot of different places. Long time in Baltimore, right? For Wink Martindale?
That sounds right. Yeah.
Pull up his coaching tree. Longtime defensive coordinator. For the Baltimore Ravens. He was there from 2000 with the Ravens from 2012 to 2021. Serving as DC from 2018 to 2021. He was also a Broncos defensive coordinator in 2010. So, on the failed Josh McDaniels regime. Anyway, Wink will be in demand if he wants to keep going as a defensive coordinator. And then last one before we get to the rumor mill. Seahawks announced on January 10th Pete Carroll will no longer be the franchise's head coach after 14 seasons. The team amicably agreed with Carroll that his role will evolve from head coach to remain with the organization as an advisor.
Yeah,
he's up there in age 2.
And that one came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That
was pretty shocking.
Yeah, it was.
Did it have to do more with his playoff? Like, missing the playoffs, and they're like, all right, you know what? It's time to move on. It's over.
I don't know if it was that. I don't know if it was just that he's up there in age, and maybe with it being mutual, maybe he was to move off the sideline, but still have a role around football. Like, it doesn't sound like they wanted him gone. So,
yeah. sounded like they were ready to move on in the future, right? You know, Pete
Yeah.
Carroll had a great tenure with them during his time. Obviously, got him a Super Bowl. Went to two. Um, I can see it as maybe Pete was thinking about it, and Seattle was probably nudging that forward. Do want to inject some of the youth in here as they enter their next stage post Pete Carroll, and them trying to find their quarterback of the future while also juggling with what to do with Metcalf and Lockett and JSN, and their defense has played very well. With all things considered, that post Legion of Boom era, especially these last handful of years, they found some good benchmarks for the future for them. So this could be a very interesting job. Obviously, a little too far away to make a big move to trade a four quarterback this year, but you bring back Geno.
We could.
I can see them in the market for a day two quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what a day two quarterback does for him, but I could too.
Yeah,
gives him another option, I guess, along with and Locke.
That guy slips. Who knows? I mean, we see it every year.
Yeah,
we take a project QB.
How often do those?
There's quite a few QBs out there too.
I am told this is a very, very good class.
Yeah, well,
we've been told that for a long time with this one too.
We've been told that for. Do we need to talk about the Lawrence?
I hope it's not the 21 class all over again.
Yeah, do we need to
I hope it's not the 21 class.
Talk about 2021 or any of the project QBs over the last several years, not that were outside of the first round.
I won't be surprised if JJ McCarthy actually goes back, to be honest with you guys. I think he's going to declare.
I think he should.
He needs to go back. He's not going to declare. He's going to say, "I'm going back." Harbaugh's
if he gets
back.
If he gets back-to-back natties too, especially if Harbaugh returns, yeah.
Harbaugh is returning. He's one.
Someone will convince himself it's been a high pick on McCarthy.
What's funny about this though, like as we talk about this whole rumor mill and everyone, all these head coaches being fired or being relieved of their duties, the Harbaugh to the NFL has like really dried up because prior to all this, there was rumor mills of Harbaugh going to the Chargers, Harbaugh possibly going to the Commanders, Raiders are interested, and then
it's gone.
Sunday and Monday comes.
The odds
and
even
then
flip.
You don't hear anything else.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's been a rumor every year for the last 5 years that Harbaugh wants to make a return to the NFL someday.
He will not. I think. I don't know if you guys.
I think he uses it as a benchmark to get more money from Michigan. I think he uses it as a way to get more leverage on him.
I was watching this ESPN documentary prior to the game, and they were talking about his dad. I don't know if you guys know anything a lot about college football, but Michigan football, his dad Jack was the assistant coach to Bo Schembechler, who was the head coach back in the '80s, who also had Jim Harbaugh on the team as quarterback. So come to find out, Jack Harbaugh influences both John and Jim for basically their career type of decision. So if they need any advice, Dad's the one that gives them, Dad's the one that pushes them.
Makes sense.
So I'm thinking, basically after winning that game, it's Saban retires, out of the blue, it feels like. And then here we are now. So Harbaugh could be the Saban of the North and build what Bo Schembechler had back in the day.
I think you're riding a high right now.
No, I'm not. I'm not trying to ride high.
We can talk about Saban, by the way, because he retired effectively. But I mean, let me put it this way: calling somebody the Saban of anything is the equivalent of calling whoever wins this year's Super Bowl let's say that Dan Campbell goes and does it. You've got this awesome turnaround, just like Harbaugh's turned the program around and goes and wins the Super Bowl. Is he the Belichick of the middle North? I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. But Saban's such a tough legacy to touch.
No, what I'm saying, could you start something that Saban started? Because first 7 years of Harbaugh, we were ready to get rid of him. The last 3 years, he's made it to.
It seems like every year the fan base is torn on the fact that they want to keep him or not.
right? And
Especially the
keep-
scandals that have been coming out too.
Yeah, I think I think he's gonna stay. It's not that I'm on this higher thing. I just honestly think he should really actually just stay.
no, I think he will
Just
stay.
because
I think he
because
should stay too.
the odds
Yeah.
and the odds flipped, right? He was being favored to the Raiders, and it flipped. And I'm looking at all these head coach interviews right now. National title game's over. He's not interviewing anywhere. So
Yeah.
No, there's nothing being pulled.
I can see him definitely now with winning one. I can see him wanting to build his own legacy, and him getting one now is probably makes it even easier for him to make that decision to stay. Which is right, Ryan. I agree. I think he's going to convince McCarthy to stay with them.
Yeah, I mean they offered him a 10
and
year,
run it back.
125 million, and he held out. It's like I would hold out too because if I win the national title, I'm gonna ask for more,
God.
even more money. So I
Fucking
mean,
college. I don't want to pay the players. We're just going to overly pay everything else. And
oh
just
no, they're paying the
use them.
players because I mean, look at the players that are going that went
No,
back so
they're
far.
getting
So it's
deals.
like,
Yeah.
it's to me. I love it. I love college football more than I like pro football. So
yeah, I don't want to talk college
had it
football
more
anymore
entertaining.
though. So let's move on.
I'm with Hopper on this.
Um,
We have
We-
plenty of college in the offseason.
yeah, we got plenty of things to talk about in the off season. We'll have plenty of time to talk or not talk about Harbaugh anymore. But saying about Michigan's legacy,
I'm just wearing Michigan thing every Thursday. You'll just see me wearing Michigan stuff.
I don't care. That's not going to
That's-
bother me. I just don't want to talk about it for 20 minutes. Head coaching GM interviews. We'll start with Atlanta. Their head coaching requests are out. This is where we're going to see who's in demand, who's being considered, et cetera, et cetera. Atlanta's got requests out there for Brian Callahan, who's the Bengals OC, Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, Ravens assistant head coach and DL coach Anthony Weaver, 49ers DC Steve Wilkes right now for the Falcons. Yeah, Ben Johnson's going to be a popular one. We know that. That's more so what we're trying to get figured out here. Who are the popular interviews going to be? Ben Johnson is going to be a popular interview. I think that Brian Callahan is going to be a pretty popular interview. Aaron Glenn is interesting to me. Same, Steve
Right.
Wilkes. If you're looking for a defensive coach, I could get it. He'll have some interest, but may ultimately not end up with a head coaching job out of the offseason. Ravens assistant head coach, sure, makes sense. The most interesting one here to me is Aaron Glenn. I don't know that Ryan, help me out here as a resident Detroit fan. I don't know that I fully understand that head coach interview.
I don't understand it either. I don't know if it's more just the
Well, it's not the
locker room he has.
Oh, okay.
It's not what he produces on the field, because what he
Yeah.
produces on the field is not.
It's been pretty bad.
Yeah, no, I will definitely 100% support you guys on that, because yes, it has been really bad, because every game's a shootout. We're letting Nick Mullins throw over like 400 yards on us.
Twice.
And they're interviewing Wilkes, so it's not a Rooney Rule interview. So we know that. Because as much as
But
I hate that does happen. So
Yeah, it just could be the locker room type of president he has, the camaraderie he has. He might not be that great of a coach, but like what he produces with on the field, but coaching wise, he has. The players listen when he speaks.
I think they all run it back there anyways. I think both of them stay in Detroit.
I think so too. Well, Ben
Yep.
Johnson could get a F load of a whirlwind of money to go somewhere, and
Which I think is what it will require for him.
That's what it's going to require to get him away. Brian Callahan coming out of Cincinnati, I don't think that's going to require a whirlwind of money for him.
No. He wants to get out of the limelight of Taylor.
Yeah, and that does kind of make sense given how the Bengals had their injury problems and stuff, but Browning performed really, really well down the stretch.
Better than expected, yes.
And they performed pretty well over the last couple of years. So, he's not going to be – I wouldn't be surprised to see him end up with a spot, but if it doesn't happen, then that makes sense too.
Yep.
All right, the Panthers. They are also interviewing Brian Callahan and Ben Johnson. In addition, this is a long list. Get ready. Dave Canales, the Buccaneers offensive coordinator. Makes sense, right?
Yep. Yep.
Did good things with Baker, got a lot out of that offense. That makes some sense in the same way that Callahan makes sense. Ejiro Evero, which makes sense. It's their own defensive coordinator. Ravens defensive coordinator Mike McDonald. Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken. Rams defensive coordinator Raheem Morris. Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn. Texans offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick. Dolphins offensive coordinator Frank Smith. And interim head coach Chris Tabor. So, some different names here. Ejiro Evero. Did he get... I remember his name from last cycle. Was he getting head coaching interviews last cycle before ultimately settling in as a DC?
I don't remember.
I don't think so. It doesn't sound familiar.
I can't remember. I know he was in last year's. Let me see if I made any notes on it. February 9. Carolina hired former Denver defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero. Okay. He was in Denver.
Man, just imagine.
What?
Just imagine the Carolina Panthers could have the number 1 pick right now. It could have been
they
the quarterbacks they wanted this year.
They could have. They don't. But
instead of trading up for Bryce Young.
They could have. They don't. Evero was...
Fuck them. That's why.
Yeah. The DC for them. I don't know. Defense performed well down the stretch too once they got healthy for Carolina. Offense was the problem. Yeah, I don't know what to think about any of these, really. Bobby Slowick makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets more sniffing with what the Texans have been able to do with a young quarterback and a young offense and how they've been able to produce. Monken had a good year for Baltimore. I'd be surprised if he makes the jump.
I don't think he will. I don't. It'll take at least another year. If Baltimore has playoff success, they go on to win a Super Bowl. Maybe.
Yeah.
We tend to see both. We tend to see both Super Bowl teams as, coaching, assistant coaching vacancy jobs, OC jobs. It tend to get plucked pretty well.
Yeah.
But I think Monken stays.
And it's not hard to break this down, right? They've got several offensive coordinators that were able to take young or offenses in transition and get them to perform. They've got 2 popular interviews in Callahan and Johnson, and then former head coaching experience with Monken, Quinn, and with Monken, Quinn, and Morris. So we'll see. They're probably going to hire a general manager first, and really just, I won't go through all the names. They're looking at a bunch of assistants. They're looking at assistants from the Giants, the Lions, the Colts, the Bucks, the Eagles, the Saints, the Raiders, the Ravens, the 2 internal hires, and the Chiefs. So
they're very desperate to build whatever they can with what they have, because looking at their roster, looking at their salary cap next year.
Yeah, they're gonna throw a bunch of interviews at the wall and find what they like, which isn't necessarily bad. Giants assistant general manager is the most interesting thing on that list to me. I think you can easily make arguments for Lions, Colts, Bucks, Eagles executives. Saints is a little curious. Raiders is a little curious. But yeah, Ravens, Chiefs, absolutely. Front offices are gonna get poached. When they're successful.
Happens every year.
Yep. Now there are the other thing that's interesting is there is absolutely no. Let me about this real quick. Yeah, there's absolutely no overlap in who they're interviewing for GM and who the Raiders are interviewing for GM. None right now.
Interesting.
We should put in our applications.
Yeah, right.
We'll fix your team. As a collaborant.
Most interesting person on the Raiders list is recently fired Chargers GM Tom Telesco. And then I think I gotta look this up. Kelly is one of the universal names. I don't know if that's a female interview. There's a female.
I would love to see a woman. I would love to see a woman GM. Man, man, just to see
Broncos executive
all the old heads.
Kelly Klein Van Callaghan. So
I want to see it. I want to. I want a woman GM just to see a bunch of the old heads get pissed off and a woman knows is in a position of power for their football team.
I do too.
They're going to be so. It's going to be like Des Bryant times 10. It's going to be
Yeah.
perfect.
She is the executive director of football ops and special advisor to the general manager for the Broncos. All right. Keeping it moving. There is also very little overlap. The Chargers and Raiders seem to be going for no. Chargers got a little over. We'll start with their GM interviews. So Brandon Brown is interviewing for the Chargers job as well as the Panthers job. He's the Giants assistant. Bears assistant GM Ian Cunningham is in the running there, just because I'm a Bears fan. And then Terrence Gray is the other overlap there. Yeah, Bill's director of player personnel. Terrence Gray interviewing there. Head coaching interviews, they are also interviewing Ben Johnson and Brian Callahan. Yeah. Yeah. So what else are they doing? Leslie Frazier is on that interview list. Dan?
He's a player's coach.
Former Bills DC. Aaron Glenn's on this list. Raiders defensive coordinator Patrick Graham is on this list. That one's interesting, I guess. Then, yeah, Johnson, Bunkin, Kellen Moore apparently interviewed for this.
And
then
I guess it was all homeboy for Dallas. It was never Kellen Moore.
Yeah, it was always McCarthy.
McCarthy, actually, yeah.
Yeah. I think Moore is let go. Give Smith also interviewed, by the way. Their interim. I think Moore is not legitimate.
He's staying. He's staying. He's absolutely staying.
You think he'll stay?
He needs a healthier.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised he's getting any interviews in general. I mean, I know he'll get a pass because of just how hurt the Chargers were this year, but it was just with the success that he had in Dallas prior to this. I think it'll be once the Chargers are healthy and can actually find team success. But we'll see, because it hasn't really been there. They've had one playoff appearance and they blew a huge lead. So
yeah, something tells me that this feels like a Todd Monken stop if he were to make that jump.
yeah,
I don't think they go back to back defensive head coaches with Herbert and what's gone on with the defense.
no, you want someone that can gel with Moore. Like I think they would promote Moore before they brought in another offensive minded head coach, but again, it's
what's more done to deserve a promotion.
I don't exactly. That's the whole reason. Like I don't they'll want to have someone that can pair well with them.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, if you bring an offensive guy, is he going to try to clash and call plays? And we all know that can become pear shaped pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's a situation where a guy like with head coaching experience, like Monken or Dan Quinn or Raheem Morris, can come in. Quinn and Morris are both defensive-minded head coaches, or even Wilkes, who have all been head coaches before and kind of know from their last go-around. They're not going to interfere with Kellen Moore, but neither did Staley. So you want him to mesh well, maybe you do need somebody with more of an offensive mind.
That's true. That's a fair point.
That is okay with not being the guy, and that's why I think Monken makes a lot of sense. But also, I was wrong. He does not have head coaching. Oh, yeah, he does. No, he doesn't. He does not have head coaching experience at the NFL level.
No, he came over from Georgia.
Yeah, he was a former Buccaneers. So,
and Browns too, right?
I
thought he was part of that, because basically wherever he goes, he tends to fluctuate his scheme based around the talent, which is.
Oh yeah, he was in Cleveland in 2019. 2019 Browns this year.
That was a fucking dumpster fire year for them, though. That
That's a
Everything
Freddie,
that went wrong.
that was a Freddie Kitchens as head coach.
The Freddie Kitchens, the OBJ, literally everything that could have gone wrong went wrong for Cleveland that year, outside of Brennan and Deshaun Watson.
It does lead to a lot of interceptions. Jameis Winston 30, Baker Mayfield 20.
I mean,
You're gonna have that fucking mentality.
Yeah, you do. That's why I think he's perfect for Justin Herbert.
you just add actual arm talent.
Yeah, just
Yep.
How much did Jackson throw this year? Did he have a lot of interceptions this year?
I don't think so. But he doesn't throw nearly as much as, you know.
It's 7.
He
He
did
had a 1.5 INT rate. It's pretty fucking good for
pretty
old
good.
running back there.
Yeah, he doesn't throw nearly as much as Baker did that year though, or as Jameis
No.
did. But also
Yeah.
just more talented and completely different skill set.
Yeah, Lamar, can provide you more than just trying to hug it and chuck it down the field.
Yep. All right. Tennessee Titans, so their head coaching spot, Mike Kafka's name shows up.
Really?
Giants offensive coordinator Mike Kafka. That seems curious. I don't think that's going to happen.
What?
Yeah, 100%.
He wasn't even good last year. The
Nope.
defense is what carried that team to the playoffs last year
Yep.
and carried them down the stretch this year.
I don't know.
Okay. Sure.
Everyone else won't surprise you. It's Ben Johnson, Antonio Pierce, Bobby Slowick, and Dan Quinn. So, Kafka
The same names over and
is
over
Ben
again.
Johnson's going to go on a whole fucking
5
tour.
or 5. No, he is. He's going to be the most popular option.
It's going to be great when he stays
And
because
if the Raiders don't keep
he should.
Pierce, then that makes a lot of sense here. Slowick would end up in a very, what I would consider similar situation than what he's leaving. But, yeah. I don't know. Titans don't have an attractive spot.
someone said their team is attractive. I'm like,
No.
To
Why?
to who?
To who?
like they like their defense, I guess, improved, but like you have
This is the
it feels it's not a good spot.
this is the Cleveland Browns' last team in the bar.
Yeah,
I mean,
seriously.
it's not New England bad.
Yeah, it's still
New England-
bad.
It's not Washington bad either, but it's not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it on a list of attractive coaching jobs. So I'm trying to say it's because of Will Levis. I'm like, how? He had one good game, which that's it. Like he
Right.
takes a lot of fucking sacks.
Mediocre quarterback. You've got no skill
Ugh.
players around him. Henry's said his farewells and is likely out. Andy's a 30-plus-year-old running back, and that's your best offensive piece.
Yeah. And your best running back doesn't have any knees.
Right.
And you got $77.5 million in cap space. And you got to build a whole team. And you got to build a whole team up with that.
If there's ever a coaching job to be a one and done there, it's going to be Tennessee this upcoming year. I hope they don't draft a quarterback. Please.
Maybe
please
they do.
don't.
Maybe they do hire Mike Kafka as offense.
It makes sense. Just give
perfect.
shit with shits. Yeah.
Sacrificial lamb. Get him in there and get him gone.
Ben Johnson's going to go there because he wants to
I
prove
don't know.
that he
Actually,
can do it.
the Titans wouldn't be a bad place to go because they have, like I said, what was it 71 million in cap space? And then in 2025, they have 211 million in cap space. So you can actually build a team out right there with that.
You can.
Around who though? I mean, you still need prospects
gotta
that
draft
are already
well.
there to be built well, and you still have to draft well. I mean, the Bears have a lot of picks, and well,
Well, you still got Hopkins.
Hopkins will leave.
Hopkins.
I don't think
is
he's going to leave.
a 30
He's there for
plus-
another year.
He's a 30-plus wide receiver that's coming off of a down year.
Yeah,
You got
They don't have
Treylon
any-
Burks,
can't stay healthy.
who just needs to stay healthy.
Tajay Spears building around a running back with no knees. Love it.
They're gonna
Let's
go
do it.
out and sign. They're gonna make a 2018 super team. They're gonna go sign Odell and Mike Evans with that contract money as the wide receiver 1 and 2, and then they're gonna go get
Say the name. Say the name. Do it.
which name?
Who's throwing them the football?
I'm not saying it. And then they're gonna go re-sign Derrick Henry. They're gonna get Cordell Patterson behind him. I'm figuring out how they're gonna use.
I'm not
that
gonna lie.
71 million.
That would be that'd be kind of sexy.
And then
That'd be such a big fucking backfield too.
let's see. They're gonna go sign. Who can we sign? Joe Flacco.
Although Beckham Jr. is
He's gonna
available, Curtis
mentor Will
Samuel.
Levis. He's gonna go mentor Will Levis.
Yep.
All right, here's how you be a statue and throw the football
Figure
fucking
it
60
out.
plus
Here's how you spin
yards
it to anyone.
and not suck. Yeah, and not suck.
Cap
You
Smith.
throw
Calvin
picks,
Ridley-
it's fine.
Ooh.
Just don't take any sacks.
They're trading for Russell Wilson. I figured it out. That's what they're gonna do
Oh,
with
that's
that cap
right,
money.
because they want it. They're like, cheap. Russ is gonna go so fucking.
What about
cheap.
signing T. Higgins? Marquise Brown, Calvin Ridley, Michael Pittman Jr. I'm just throwing shit at the fucking wall.
You make it sound like they're gonna make good decisions, Ryan.
Well, I mean, that's what you have the capabilities of making good
Since
decisions.
he's not letting T Higgins go, they're gonna give T his money. They're gonna build around those three
We'll figure that out.
and Higgins, Burrow, and Chase.
Noah Brown, after 5 good games in his 5-year career.
No Brown.
Well, Brown will end up somewhere, but
He's like he's like the show's child, man. We've been with him since his humble beginnings as a 20-year-old.
yeah, the sophomore, 20-year-old
Prospect.
sophomore, and we said, "Why the fuck are you
Redshirt
coming out?
redshirt sophomore who was very, very raw. Hey, he's
Stay in school.
still in the
you'll be a
goddamn
big
league. Good
beast,"
for him,
and
man.
He's finally there. Anyway,
It's like him and Hurts are
yeah, our children.
wants. They are.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, Commanders. They're also interviewing Aaron Glenn. And let's see, anyone new on that list? Anthony Weaver. No one new on that list. Same guys: Weaver, Quinn, Morris, Mike McDonald, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn. Only one offensive interview right now for the Commanders.
Interesting.
I think that's interesting as well. And then some different names for GM, which I've just come to the conclusion is going to be all over the place. Another Chiefs executive, Bears executive Ian Cunningham is the only overlap. Alec Halabi, Eagles assistant, and Adam Peters. And then for the Bears, they've got 2 OC interviews lined up. They're the only ones to sign coordinator interviews right now. Shane Waldron, who's the former Seahawks offensive coordinator, and then Clint Kubiak.
Oh, there's a fucking name.
I figured you'd appreciate that one.
No, I'm good.
He was the passing game coordinator for the 49ers, which actually feels attractive, coming off of going from Minnesota as OC, Kubiak side of it, and then passing game coordinator for San Francisco off the Shanahan tree. Still young. Don't hate that.
He'll probably be. I think he was trying to be too much like his dad during his Minnesota stint. I think being, which
12th in yards,
is
and
fine.
14th in points, and top third of the league in passing offense, and top half in rushing offense is when you're Minnesota. That's not terrible. And then you go learn from Shanahan.
He'll get an OC job.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be the name to watch for an OC spot somewhere.
That's what he's interviewing for with the Bears as OC.
See?
There
you go. You go.
I would prefer Kubiak over Waldron out of the 2 right now.
That's fair. Very much.
Yeah. More updates on those as we go. Let's go ahead and hit the beer review, and then we'll talk some key offseason.
Let's go.
Beer review.
I'm going because I got to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
I've been holding this for a minute. So I'm drinking Riggs Beer Company out of Urbana, Illinois. This is their sports beer. This is their black lager. Again, it's a medium, a medium-ish, more roasty body than what you get from your traditional stouts and porters, but it still gives you the classic feel of it without the overly fillingness of what you would get from them. So this is not the most popular style out there. But if you ever get a chance to find black lagers or even black IPAs, even give them a try. They are fantastic. And while I think most people out there won't be able to find Riggs outside of Illinois, give the style a try if you find it.
I hope I find some Riggs because occasionally they pop up. I'd like to try that.
There should be Riggs. Unfortunately,
Randall's normally has something. It's just normally the lager or the Heffy.
True.
But all right, Ryan, why don't you go while Dan goes and pees? Because I'm sure he's interested to know about this pastrami beer.
Pastrami beer. So I had New Holland Breweries, Mad Hatter, Tomatoes IPA. Why do you call it pastrami?
Because no, my beer is a pastrami beer.
Oh, I was gonna say, why'd you call it pastrami? I'm like, it has definitely no like pastrami taste to it.
No, I said I'm sure he wants to hear about the pastrami beer, so you go while he pees.
Oh, okay.
Managing
I mean,
stuff. Hosting and shit.
definitely definitely one of my favorite beers when it comes to IPAs. Like, it's not as tropical and fruity as most IPAs are. This one kind of has a mild, more of a grapefruit orange flavor to it, more of a piney hops type of flavor, I'd say. Would be probably the best way to look at it. Decent crisp, and it definitely flows well. Where because I'm already on my second one and almost done with it. But when I always try to tell people like I'm like try this, I'm like it's an IPA, but it doesn't taste like an IPA because you don't taste the grapefruit. You taste like a more like I was that'd be more earthy then at that point. But for sure,
Yeah. If you don't, so Midwest, I'm assuming those are mostly Michigan hops. So yeah, you'll get some grapefruit, some like resin, like piney resin, maybe, but definitely an
yes,
earthiness out of it.
yeah, definitely like it a lot. This is a west side of Michigan type
Yeah.
of beer, Lake Michigan beer.
Probably a little caramel malt in there with some good backbone to support it. Yeah, I can tell from the color. Cool.
Yeah, it's got a nice amber color to it. Very well, you
Yeah.
can't really see it there.
No,
But yeah, like it definitely looks like IPA, but it's not as cloudy. Like it has it's like a 50-50 cloudy to clear. I
Yeah.
can see through it, but it's not as bad as like a normal IPA.
For sure. All right. And for me, as a reminder, Pipeworks Brewing out of Chicago, I am drinking their pastrami on rye. There's a rye ale with smoked malt, brown sugar, black pepper, coriander seed, red pepper, and mustard seed. A lot to unpack. So I'm just gonna go with what I'm tasting because it's probably the best way to do it. Good body. It's not as heavy as a stout. I would say probably in the body range of like a dark amber ale. Not maybe a little thicker than a porter, but not at stout level. It's spicy. Not like in a hot spicy, but in a spicy. That red pepper and black pepper and rye spice definitely like all show up at the front. Some of the caramel malt and I guess brown sugar, but that should have fermented out mostly. Gives it a little bit of like a back end sweetness to help support that. Smoked malt really is not prominent in this, like at all. It's very, very subtle. It's a really good mishmash of flavors. For me, the spice makes it like hard to drink this fast. It's not offensive. It's not off-putting by any means. It's just not something that you can drink a lot of because there's a lot. It's very, very bold and a very, very powerful beer. So there's a lot going on. So, I mean, overall, for all of that, it's not bad in the least bit. Pipeworks executed pretty well. It's very different and it's very bold.
What they do.
That is what they do. They do bold on a lot of shit. Ryan, have you ever had a Pipeworks IPA?
Pipeworks? No.
We should.
Never get a chance to drink Lizard King.
You should like put your mic back where it goes.
It was right in front of it.
There you go.
If you ever get a chance to find Lizard King, get it.
I'm looking it up right now.
Because
there's like
Ninja versus
Unicorn. Yeah. I mean that's their flagship right next to Lizard King. You'll notice they got some dope ass can work.
I still owe you a 4.
Yes.
I
love dope ass can work.
I still owe you a 4 pack.
You had me a dope ass can work. Yeah.
Maybe I'll just send you one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you still owe me one.
I do. And I gotta send beer out on Monday anyway. It's gonna be cold as balls, but I gotta send beer out next week sometime. Let's put it that way.
It'll not be the coldest birthday I've had.
Well, coming from Minnesota, that doesn't surprise me, but it's still gonna be cold.
It's gonna be cold as shit. I think we had record setting days on my 22nd, and it was like negative like 50 below windshield. It was
Bad.
fucking just like, why am I out here? And of course, I still went out, and I have horse friends to go out with me, and rack up a fucking huge bar tab.
Best way to do
And
it.
then walk home with your shirt off.
Yeah, no, I'm not
in
that fucking stupid.
Not
No.
in that. All right. What's up?
I might have found it near me. It's 8.5 miles away.
There you go. Get some.
There you go.
Get some.
Do it.
All right. Here we go. 2024 league year. Let's get into some of these dates and what to be expected. So, fifth year options could start for 2021 by January 8th. We don't see that happen immediately. That's not the deadline. That's just when they can start picking them up. So really nothing picks up until after the Super Bowl on February 11th. February 20th is when teams can start designating franchise and transition players. The combine is February 27th. So what you can expect from the show is that we will start the week before that. No, I'm off somewhere. Anyway. No, I'm not. Combine starts February 27th. It ends March 4th. So from the show, we will, the week before that, yeah, I'm a little off here. The week before that, we will preview, start to look at the draft class, what to watch at the combine, et cetera, et cetera. So that is February 27th through March 4th. March 5th is the franchise tag deadline. March 11th is the legal tampering period. So March will be a little bit fun. Legal tampering, free agency. Yeah. Other than that, after that, next key things to draft, really. And that will be April 25th. Now, where on here? Let's see, somewhere in January. January 15th is when underclassmen have to declare bye.
Yes.
So,
and January 19th
Monday.
sleeper updates their list usually.
Yep.
So hopefully.
Boop boop.
Yep. So by Monday, everyone has to be declared. That's going to declare. So we'll go over that very, very soon. We got free agency primer episodes coming, so we won't spend a lot of time going through that. We got team needs episodes coming. We got dynasty look back starting. We got to move everything up a week. So we actually start those next week because I'm off by a week somehow. Really just me making sure the show schedule's right. Welcome to a production meeting. No. We'll start Dynasty look backs next week. So I'll start by looking back at the 2021 class where franchise tag decisions are due, and then get to 22, 23. So
sounds fun.
3 years. And yeah. Other than that,
Love it.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back next week to look at the 2021 class and give you a dynasty update on them. Till then, if you're in any of the 90% of the United States that's going to experience some shitty weather, stay warm, stay safe.
And go blue.
No. No. That is way too close to something else that we don't say.
Oh, God. Yeah.